morning, Bande Matram. Welcome all of you. So we welcome all of you into this Savitri summarization section. So this session already we have fixed for the Savitri summarization. Since a couple of weeks we keep trying for that one. Actually we keep working on that. So in that process we are going to the for the discussion of Savitri, Book 2, Canto 5, the Godheads of the Little Life. So this topic, the Godheads of the Little Life, is the topic of discussion for right now. This is Savitri, Book 2, Canto 5. So here is a beautiful topic. You will find a lot of things that is quite inspiring topics. So if you will be cool enough to understand really what really are contented in it, you will find there is very interesting topics. Of course, excellent lines you will find, and with the true spiritual meanings. But it contains a vast, of course, outward truth, so-called outward truth. You will find being contained here in this chapter. The Godheads of the Little Life. In the very beginning, Sri Aurobindo quotes beautifully: a fixed and narrow power with rigid forms. Fixed and narrow power with rigid forms, he saw the empire of the little life, an unhappy corner in eternity. It lived upon the margin of the idea, protected by the ignorance in a cell. So just imagine this is a narrow power, rigid forms, empire of the little life, unhappy corner in eternity, margin of the lived upon the margin of the idea, protected by ignorance in a cell. So these are the things you are going to have it. He peered across the scanty fringe of sight, scanty fringe of sight to disengage from its surface clear obscurity, the force that moved it and the idea that made he wanted to see, imposing smallness on the infinity. So this is the beautiful topic. As well we can find narrowness, rigidity, ignorance. These are the things we are going to find here. As when the searchlight stops night's blind breast, and dwellings and trees and the figures of men appear, as if revealed to the eye of nothingness. So all lurking things were torn out of their veils and held up in his vision's sun-white blaze. So this is a beautiful description, and is of course a interesting realm. We are interesting chapter. We are seeing the Godheads of the little life. Initially, we have seen yesterday the Godheads of the we have seen about the kingdoms of the little life. We hear of that little life we are finding the Godheads of the little life. Let us proceed further inside. Again I will remind you, this is just a summarization. Sapati sees the empire of the little life, a narrow power with rigid forms, an unhappy place to set in ignorance. Already we have read and we have seen. So rigid forms, unhappy place, set in ignorance, narrow power, little life. These are the peculiar definitions and the peculiar presences here. He seeks to know the secret of this world and gazes across the surface obscurity to find the law of being, how it works, how it moves, what is the secret that he wants to gaze across. Again, what he finds, the whole crowd of tiny entities again, uncouth, in constant movement appears before his eyes. Tiny entities, uncouth, in constant movement appears before his eyes. Elves, imps, goblins, genii, and the rest, half animal, half god. These are the findings. These are the great thing has been described by, have been observed by Aswati. They are seen at their work behind the veil. They are found working behind the veil, prompting, impelling, pushing, perverting. So this is the thing. Just imagine how that realm will be, and where he is treading now, and finding the Godheads there. Their only work seems to be to spoil and vitiate and amuse themselves in the process. Why work seems to be to spoil, vitiate, and amuse themselves in the process. Their activities are not confined to their own world. but extend their worlds also to other worlds also. So these are the things only work, but actually it is spoil and vitiate and amuse themselves. Thing is that everything, it is actually spreaded world, it is a big world spreading to other area also. There is narrowness, again we can find there is narrowness, chaos and obscurity. Petty beings cast into their influence, they lurk in the unconscious and half conscious parts, lurk in the unconscious and half conscious parts of man and lead him astray. So this is the scenario, this is the position, this is the description as described by the Lord. Again, we'll go forward. Initially, this end of the day, just imagine how it will be and how it will be your feeling. Knowing this much, even also there is actually one so-called one fear psychosis in somebody's heart. The earth is not a closed system here in the course. This earth is not a closed system, it is actually very much spread. It is open to the action of the powers of the other worlds. Even the powers of the other world, they can come and intervene. It is narrow, but actually the entire earth and the entire top zenith is not narrow. They can come in the field of evolution and progress, not set in the typical world like others, not set typical in the worlds. All here moves through contradictions and struggle. Here what find there is contradiction and there is struggle towards eventual harmony and perfection. So beautiful, we find all here moves through contradiction and struggle towards eventual harmony and perfection. Contradiction and struggle towards harmony and perfection. But the way is long, and of course the way is long, and passage is built of inconscience, blindness, and narrowness. So thing is that it is very beautiful. The path is long, and you have to pass through the inconscience, blindness, and ignorance. However, there is a divine will. It is a great thing. Everything is obscured. Everything is there. That contradiction and the struggle. You have to move towards the harmony and the perfection. The parts you will pass through the inconscience, blindness, and ignorance, still difficult, still disharmonious, still then share in the course a divine power and will that leads the movement and assures the successful culmination into the freedom and the light. So this divine will, it has the just overcoming power, it can just undo everything. So it is there and assures a successful culmination into the freedom and the light. At the beginning, again, at the beginning of this mysterious world, all appears to be the movement of the brute scheme machine. Initially, you will find and you will feel as if everything is, of course, metered by and mastered by a brute machine. But in truth, there is a God within, nothing mechanical, nothing like a machine. The a God within, sitting sitting on sin, and in all and in he is busy with his action and will. So this is a great thing. Everything is obscure, narrow, rigidity. You cannot find. Still, then there is a purpose. Because there is a God, everything He is carrying everything up, and this process is there. Finally, you will find His action and will. And this is not everything brutal and mechanical. You have to the purpose must be fulfilled for which it is actually truly designed. Again, we find something very interesting in the course of the rapid movement, the spirit becomes matter. Very interesting. In the course of the rapid movement, the spirit becomes matter. Spirit becomes matter. That is a became matter. There was a pervading silence in which form appeared. So spirit became matter. That is number one. Number two, then form appeared. There was no sensation yet. It is another criteria. Consciousness was not there. Not there. So again, all was inconscient. But behind and working through this inconscient was the intelligence of God. Everything was obscure, everything was negative, everything was contrary, unexpected. But one thing was very much consistent and very much prominent, that is actually through this inconscient, the intelligence of the God was working. That was a great boon, and consciousness was concealed. So as the concealed the bliss, that is also in the origin of things, all was driven by a mechanical force. Here we can find everything, no form appeared, no sensation. Everything was there, we have seen, but there behind all, there is the will of God that was working. Form, silence in which form appeared, no sensation, consciousness is not patent, everything is inconscient. Still then, behind all, the intelligence of God is coming and consciousness is concealed, so that also concealed the bliss, that is the origin of things. All was driven by a mechanical force in the very beginning. Again, but the thing is that everything is mechanical, brutal, accidental. Thing is that, okay, you can use anything, but still then there is the will of God, intelligence of the God, it is working. So this evolution, we must proceed, is bound to proceed upward. Again, in the past etheric space, there came vibration. In the past, there came one vibration in this etheric space, touch and fiction. Beautiful. In the past, when that culmination took place, when there was a beginning, in the past beginning, etheric space, there is vibration, touch, and fiction. This led to the birth of fire. Again, it is beautiful, and electric energy. Birth of fire and electric energy, that is the creation we can find. Later, with the wave particles came next. Then second is fire, then actually came the wave particles, that is came next. This material scheme of the result with the atom holding in the high potential energy. Then actually see everything, that God's will is there. With the God's will, things are moving mechanically, driven by a mechanical force. At the first, just evening, we have to see etheric space came, inside that came vibration, touch, and friction. This led to birth of the fire and electric energy in the wave particles came. Then with its wave particles came next. Then this material scheme is the result from the atom holding the high potential and power. This is the thing we can take care, because there is the beginning of formation, beginning of creation, and it is moving upward. This miraculous world is a riddle. First is this is a miraculous world, but a detail to the intellect of man, which has to proceed through the obscurity and obscuring ignorance. That is the problem here. Riddle of miraculous world is a riddle to the intellect of man, because he has to proceed through obscurity, obscuring ignorance upwards. It is probably the Maya, that's what is quoted. Probably the Maya, perpetual motion and energy on a static base within a fixed orbit, is the picture as appears in the first number one. What is the point of finding? Perpetual motion and energy. Motion is a static on a static base within, is the fixed orbit of picture as to appears the first, but after some time life breaks out. It is everything was static, then life breaks out in nature, and a new phase of conscious movement actually it took place. So this is the, we can find the picture of creation, where we can find this miraculous world, revealed to the intellect of man, proceed through the obscuring ignorance, and later it is called, probably this is Maya. Initially, this perpetual motion and energy on a static base within, this is the creation, this is creative steps we are finding. On a fixed orbit is the picture appears fast, but later, after some time, into this staticity, life breaks out in nature, and a new phase of conscious movement begins. Again, with that life animated the material forms, but was subject to the law of matter. This was the criteria, this was the line, subject to the law of matter. Though outwardly it was not conscious of its purpose, outwardly concealed by matter, obeying the rules of matter, outwardly it seems it is as if not conscious of the process, its movement, and be spoken of the active will within. But the thing is that sensation, feeling, thrill began to reveal themselves automatically from this obscurity, from this staticity. There came sensations, feeling, thrills. Three things actually it tries to they try to reveal themselves. Life stretched itself through the desire. Again came the things that is actually desire. That is a major thing. Gradually came the first beginning of mind after the light matter. Then second step actually from matter we can find the second phase, that is actually life force it is coming. Third phase we can find the emergence, the beginning of mind through the appearings of the thought. With this minding with this the formation of minding and creation of mind, we can find the animal creation followed. Man mudded again, that is the next step is actually man, animal creation. Then man born from mudded from this top. In him appeared the thinking mind. That is a great thing. Thinking mind came to the man, and to uplift life and impose the order on the restless powers. That is the with the mind, this mind, man nature in man nature became overtly conscious and raised his head towards the light of the heaven above. So entirely this is how the creation actually works. Here we can find the glimpse. Initially matter, then life came in. After the life there came the mind, and with the mind actually a man in nature became overtly conscious. He was actually unconscious, or his consciousness was actually concealed. Now he is becoming overtly conscious and raised his head to the light of heaven above. So we'll try to quote few lines from the few brilliant lines from Savitri. That is the great lines really. We are trying to read it in not in a sequence, but actually we'll try, because in this chapter we'll find a lot of big lines here. Still in the course, life's cat finding no issue from ignorance, to sport with good and evil is their law. Again, luring to failure and meaningless success, all models they corrupt, all measures cheat. Make knowledge a poison, virtue a pattern dull. Latter, all by their influence is enacted here. Then again, here in the court, nor here to the darkened primitive heart obeys the veiled suggestions of a hidden mind. Darkened primitive heart obeys the veiled suggestions of a hidden mind. Again, our darkened lives are to greater darkness move. Our seekings listen to calamitous hopes. This is the great description from Sri Aurobindo. Our lives uncertain way winds circling on. Our minds unquiet search asks always light, till they have learned their secret in their source. So, in the light of the timeless and the spaceless home, they have to go. Infinity take up the finite acts, and the nature steps into the eternal light. Then only ends this dream of nether life. This to end for the end of the dream, this dream of nether life, two things are needed. That what is there? A mighty hand then rolls minds firmaments back. Infinity takes up the finite acts, and the nature steps to into the eternal light. Again we will find and see this electric energy and particle. We have seen Sri Aurobindo describes in his beautiful way, beautiful manner, an ocean of electric energy formlessly formed in strange wave particles. Ocean of electric energy formlessly formed in strange wave particles, constructing by their dense this solid scheme. Then so and its mightiness in the atoms sought to rest. Just now we were finding these things. So again we can find a dream of living yoke in matter's heart. So we can see the find the steps of creation. The force concealed broke dumbly slowly out. Then tired the spirit's mute immobile sleep, a dream of living yoke in matter's heart, a will to live moved the inconscient dusk, so everything is changing, a freak of living startled vacant time, ephemeral in a blank eternity, infinitesimal in dead infinity. So there is a hope, and there is actually creation, everything we can find. A consciousness with mute to stippled beats of sense, a mind suppressed that knew not yet of thought. Mind suppressed, not it is not fully developed. Then we can find an animal creation crept and ran. Just now we saw an animal creation crept and ran and flew and called between the earth and the sky, hunted by death but hoping still to live and glad to breathe it only for a while. So that is what Kim Ascharjam, Punarapi Janamam, Punarapi Maranam, Punarapi Janani Jatare Sainam, like this. Ahani Ahani Jana Gachanti Jamalayam, Ata Jivitum Ichanti, Kim Ascharjam. Again, same thing, haunted by death but hoping still to live and glad to breathe only, if only for a while. Then man is molded into the original brute. So this is the scenario, this is the evolution, and the man is coming to the level of the mind. Joy that forgot mortality for a while, came a rare visitor who left betimes and made all things seem beautiful for an hour. So there is actually evolution. Ego's moth wings to lift the seraph soul. We can find a silence listening to the cry of life, a silence listening to the cry of life. It sees the hurrying crowd of moments scream towards the still greatness of a distant hour. Life stops, steps, surveys, and nature's process sees, not seeing for what she acts or why we live. This is the scenario, this is the ambiguity we can find. Again, here in the course, our lives are inlets of an ocean's force. Our lives are inlets of an ocean's force. Our conscious movements have sealed origins, but with these shadowy seeds, no converts fold. No understanding binds our comrade parts. Our acts emerge from a crypt our minds ignore. Our deepest depths are ignorant of themselves. This is the scene we can solve. Our spirits, our souls are moved by the powers behind the wall. Already we have seen. Our instruments have not that greater light. Our will tunes not with the eternal will. Our heart's sight is too blind and passionate, impotent to share the nature's mystic act. Our lives translate these subtle intimacies. All is the comets of a secret power. That's what we have already seen. Anyway, we will go to the next phase of discussion. Here, Sri Aurobindo explains beautifully. A developing conscious rule, there initially rigidity and everything was there. Here, a developing conscious rule of nature begins to be formulated in through man. After this emergence of man and after adventure of man, so there develops a conscious rule of nature. Then the ego, the shadow figure of the true being of within, ego, the shadow figure of the true being within, was first formed by nature with little joys, hopes, and passions and loves. Is a brief of a brief life centered around it. So this was the ego. It was actually narrow, little joys, hopes, passions, and loves of a brief life. Again, what happened? Within him was the soul. After the ego, it is coming the soul, not affected by the fleeting exercise of the life and the cessation of life. There came the ego. Initially, we find there is a development of the conscious rule of nature. Second, ego, it actually centered around it. Ego we can find. Third, we can see the emergence of the soul, the spark of the divine. Again, it watched the toils of nature moving steadily towards greater future under the impulsion of the concealed intelligence. So this soul, this part is actually coming to the picture and finds the impulsion of a concealed intelligence. Again, about the mind, we can find few lines here. The mind is unable to unravel the mystery of the vast intelligence. That is the already we know the limitation of mind. Mind is unable to unravel the mystery of the vast universe. It scans only the surface. Mind, it has hardly gone to the only analyzing the surface, not knowing what reality does. Its imaginative flights taper off in the mystic altitudes. Then human life. After the mind, human mind, will, and human life, mind, and will are too limited, and there are universal terms to feel and know the great workings of the cosmic power behind the veil. Actually, mind, human mind, will, and human life, mind, and will, they are actually too much limited to know, to analyze the cosmic powers behind the veil. Men are moved by their subliminal and subconscient levels of being, the universal impulsions. So all sublimity, subconscient, it is there. Again, the mind at this stage, when everything is actually looking hardly to the surface, there is explorer, there is adventure for this. At this stage, mind is thinking puppet of the life force. Mind is the puppet of the life force. It moved and be buffeted by the little agents of the darkness on the surface, now moved by the agents of the darkness. Again, from behind, ephemeral spirits from who are, however, used to this power greater than themselves. Men think they act on their own. They feel we are acting upon the one, working of our own, but in fact, they are manipulated by the forces and beings from behind the veil. So this freedom is not there. He feels, man feels everything we are doing, but thing is that they are capitalized. Of course, they are actually manipulated by these force and beings of behind the veil. Men are but actors in the tragicomedy. Only actors in their comedy and tragicomedy of their little lives, directed by the prompters from across the border. So it is their life. It is actually manipulated. It is actually controlled. It is almost set up by the forces behind the veil. So Sri Aurobindo again comes out and tries to explain beautifully on matter. We can read just a few lines because there is also call of the time here for us. Ourselves capable to build our fate. Only as actors we speak and start our roles. Until the piece is done, we pass up. These are the things just we are just as actors we pass up. Again, we can find the beautiful lines as quoted and explained by Sri Aurobindo. Ever since consciousness was born on the earth, ever since consciousness was born on earth, what happens? Life is the same in insect and ape and man. Nothing has been changed. His small successes are failures of the soul. His little pleasures punctuate frequent griefs. These little successes are failures of the soul. His little pleasures punctuate frequent griefs. Hardship and toil are the heavy price he pays for the right to live, and the last wage is death. Then Sri Aurobindo, it is a brilliant. Already I have quoted. These are the some. You will find a lot of things here in this chapter. He draws sometimes round his aching brow, nature's calm, mighty hands to heal his life pain. He is saved by her silence from the rack of self. Again, we can find the beautiful description of the man. That is what we are handling, and we are finding many ways. Here in the course here, he would make a splendid haste on the fair slow road. Fair roads are slow, and he would try to make a haste. His heart that runs soon tires and sings and tires and pants and tires and sings, or he works ever on and finds no end. Sri Aurobindo then quotes, hardly a few can climb to greater life, all tunes to a low scale and conscious peace. His knowledge dwells in the house of ignorance. His force nears not once even the omnipotent. Rare are his visits of heavenly ecstasy. Through that period, we can find before time battle and murder are his tribal game. The great faith Sri Aurobindo has used here. Again, we can find that a good phrase, one bit we will find in Savitri. Existence is an accident in time. Illusion or phenomenon or freak, the paradox of a creative thought. That is what Sri Aurobindo quotes beautifully. It is the nice description we find here. The paradox of a creative thought which moves between unreal opposites. Unreal opposites. Again, we find very about the religion bankruptcy. Sri Aurobindo has quoted few lines. Only religion in this bankruptcy. Now religion has turned into the bankrupt stage. Presents its dubious riches to our hearts, our signs, unprovisioned checks on the beyond. Our poverty shall have have its revenge. Our spirits depart, discarding a futile life. Futile life. This life is futile, in vain, helpless. So spirits depart. Into where the spirit departs? Into the blank unknown, or with them take death's passport into immortality. So another few terms also we will find here in this description. The great terms, of course. The unfelt self within, who is the guide. Yeah, in spite of everything, in spite of every failure, any stumblings, any class, any trying, we can find the interior flame inside. The unfelt self within, who is the guide. The unknown self above, who is the goal. These are the great description. All is not a blinded nature's task. A word, a wisdom watches us from on high, a witness sanctioning her works and wills. So just wills and works, just imagine everything is controlled from within and from the top. So because the unfelt self within us, who is the guide, the unknown self, we don't know who is he, is the goal, and we are traveling against here in the course. Our minds are starters in the race to God. Our lives, the deeper mystery than we have dreamed. The world is other than we now think and feel. Our lives is a deeper mystery than we have dreamed. Our minds are starters in the race to God. Our souls, deputed selves of the Supreme. Just imagine about the lives, minds, and bodies. They are taking caring of us towards the further goal. A soul that is a spark of God survives. Everything will be missed because soul is immortal. It is actually nothing can spoil it. A soul that is a spark of God survives, and sometimes it breaks through the sordid screen, and kindles a fire that makes us half divine. So soul that can make us almost half divine. Again, we go for the work is done in the deep silences, a glory and wonder of spiritual sense, a laughter in beauty's everlasting space, transforming world experiences into joy. So these are the thing. It has been culminated. It has been calculated. It has been manipulated. The inner self, who is the greater self, the unknown self here, who is the guide, and the all unfelt self within, who is the guide, and the unknown self above, who is the goal, and we are carried out by a secret will on ourselves. Our thoughts cover the everlasting night. Our strength derives us from an omnipotent force, and since from a veiled God joy the worlds were made, and since the eternal beauty asks for form, ever even here where all is made of the beings dust. So, and then Sri Aurobindo quotes beautifully: our hearts are captured by ensnaring shapes, our very senses blindly seek for bliss, our error crucifies reality to force its birth and divine body here. Again, we'll find in the last phase of the discussion, we are going to discuss little bit. Such is the routine life of man. As long as he is content with life subjected to the lower nature, so this is the same thing. It is almost common like animal, insect, man. His life turns to be pretty groups, happy in small pleasures, and suffering in little disappointments. This is the go of the normal life. On occasions, a help comes from the greater knowledge. So this is there comes a change. Help from the greater nature comes. Actually, it saves us, and the human receptacle cannot hold the gift of for long, and it recedes. Help is coming, but human nature is packed with loneliness, packed with your narrowness, impotency, so it can't hold that greater force for a long time, and it recedes. If man were the highest poise which nature is capable, and his limitations and deformations would be the final law, final word, then world would be little more than meaningless accident in time, a dream in fantasy. Beautiful thing. So if it is all, if there is no change, if there is no divine will, then actually this you will feel no anybody can feel this is a meaning. This world is not more than a meaningless accident in time, a dream of fantasy. But actually, really, this is not the truth of things. Then what really the truth? That's what Sri Aurobindo tries to quote towards the end of the description. To a deeper seeing beyond the limited surface sight of the mind, a greater vision reveals itself. So, on the surface, from the surface, if we will be able to go beyond the limited surface sight of the mind, you will find a greater vision that reveals itself. The world vibrates with the light of God. That is another God. The world vibrates with the light of God. It is a developing play of the God, developing from the infinite finite to infinity. from night inconscience to the day of truth. So there is a change. So you can find God is there, deeper seeing is there. You have to go beyond the reach of the mind, beyond the limited surface mind. You will find the world vibrating with the light of God. The play of the god is very much definite and definable, and everything is moving from night of inconscience to the day of truth. Behind the apparent struggling nature is at work a divine power, sure of its aim. That aim is pure, a divine power. It is working, it is guiding towards which we are moving. The presence watches and leads from above. This presence it watches and leads from above. The one is at the play as many. One who actually tried to multiply this multiplicity, he became many. And you have seen behind the pain and suffering of the world an undying bliss you can feel. So, because that is the secret will of the God who is behind us. Within the form, there sits the soul, awaiting the hour of the emergence and preparing the nature parts down to the very physical parts of the cells for its manifestation. So there is help from the top, there is a soul from within. So everything that is a big preparation is going for the light, for the truth, and for the greatness of the life. The soul, again, the soul casts its rays of bliss, power, beauty, and now are them. So these are things. The souls cast rays of bliss, rays of beauty, and the rays of power, and now and then. And those are the high moments of the outer being. So we are not capable because we are limited and confined to the surface nature. Superficially, we are not feeling it. But thing is that soul inside us, that is a spark of the divine. It actually casts its shades, bliss, beauty, and the power now or then. So through these influxes from within through the from the soul, and invoked the descent from the above. Two things are coming. One, influxes from the within, and invoked descent from above of being above the being. The man shall grow, climb, and rise. Again, three things will be there. Three, it can grow, climb, and rise high to their greater altitude of the spirit into the unsullied realms of our power, bliss, and light. So three things you have. Everything is there. A help and power from above, and there is influx from the soul. For that, actually, some ray of the bliss, beauty, and power now or then it is working. Second thing here in the course, as the influx from the within and of course invoked the descent from the above, so man can do three things: grow, climb, and rise into the greatest altitude of the spirit, and into the unsullied realm of his power, bliss, and the light. Finally, Sri Aurobindo finds here, Ashwapati advances through the mist of the empire of the little life. See, of course, here the mist, because rigidity, hardness, obscurity, everything is like this. So, Sri Aurobindo course this realm in the through the mist, packed with mist, packed mist of the empire of the little life, chaotic expanses peopled with demons and misleading shapes and whispering ghosts. So these are the packed. This realm is packed with number one mist. This is little life. Chaotic expanses people with the little domains of misleading shapes, whispering ghosts. These are the characteristic findings of the realm. He is a moving point of light showing up, and of course surrounding gloom of the region as it were. All the dark here in its immensity, his spirit's flame is the only light. So here nothing can be helpful, nothing can take shape, nothing can hold your hand, and behold, only the helper is the spirit's flame within. That is the thing we are going to see little bit in our in this process of reading. We'll try to quote few lines, almost very few lines from Savitri by Sri Aurobindo in the final thing Sri Aurobindo quotes. The body's tissues feel apotheosized. Its cells sustain bright metamorphosis, cellular transformation. That's what Sri Aurobindo minds. Our mind and life and sense and love in light, other than this hard, limited human clay. This body's tissue thrill apotheosized. Its cells sustain bright metamorphosis. Again, we'll find our thoughts covered the everlasting light. Our strength drives from an omnipotent force. It is in a process of progress towards the top, to the zenith. Sri Aurobindo quotes finally, adventuring once more in the natal mist. Already we have seen that mist. Across the dangerous haze, the pregnant stare, he threw the astral chaos soar away mid the grey faces of its demon gods, questioned by whispers of its flickering ghosts, besieged by sorceries of its fluent force, as one see. So again, this guidance here in the quotes beautifully, as one who walks unguided through strange fields, tending he knows not where or with what hope he is really moving, where he will meet. He trod a soil that failed beneath his feet and journeyed in stone to the fugitive end. His trail behind him was a vanishing line. Everything where he is moving, the lines are vanishing, of a glimmering point in a vague immensity. The bodiless murmur travelled at his side. At its side, there is a bodiless murmur who is traveling. In the wounded gloom, compelling against the light, a huge obstruction is its immobile heart. Obstructions everything, and towards the end, stay on the course. The darkness glimmered like a dying touch, and around him an extinguished phantom glow, peopled with shadowy and misleading hopes. Shadowy and misleading hopes. The vague inconscience, dark and measureless cave, his only sunlight was his spirit's ray. Everything is dark, everything is obscure, everything is confused, everything is hard, everything is actually almost unbelievable. Still, then only hope. With this, only the hope of this is adventure, and is the only helper is the sunlight of his spirit's flame. His only sunlight was is the spirit's flame. With that spirit's flame, he is adventuring and developing, of course, adventuring into the next realm he is finding. Thank you, Bande Mataram.